In this video, I'm going to share with you how to set up a funnel for a virtual summit so that you have the best opportunity to maximize the number of people that sign up, the revenue you make, the impact that you make, and the relationships that you build along the way. So my name is Kevin Sanderson. I have hosted over 30 virtual summits. I get a ton of people asking me, how do you set these summits up? Is this something you could do for me? And yes, spoiler alert, I do have virtual summits services, which I offer, but I won't get into that just yet. So I'm going to share with you how you can set a virtual summit up for success. So I'm going to share with you the basics of what does the funnel look like? How do you promote that funnel? And how do you get experts in your niche to promote it for you? So let me go ahead and share my screen. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of drawing here. So basically, when you have a virtual summit, you want to bring on about 15 to 20 speakers. And with that, these are people that I generally like to pre-record ahead of time. I don't like to do live. In fact, as I did this live, I did a live stream and I had a technical glitch. Stuff happens. So I like to do something where people sign up. We pre-record during the, during the planning phase. And then when we have the virtual summit, it's usually 3 days long. You could do longer than that. I generally like to do 3 days. And so that's about 5 to 7 speakers per day. And we have some sort of members area where people put in a username and password, and then they get access to the summit and videos. And, I like to do it in a way that it looks nice. But basically you have, people log in and then they see the summits. Now, in order to do this, to see the video content in the summit, I should say, in order to do this, you want to have people sign up. So there's 2 ways you could do this. So you could have a landing page where you talk about, what are the dates, what are the benefits, which you wouldn't just list it out like this. I'll show you an example of one that I've put together here in a moment. And then you want to have, a little bit about who's speaking. So you have your speaker lineup, you have a button to sign up. And then you could either do this as free, where they get access over the 3 to 5 days, or you could do it as paid. And I like to do it for less than $10. And it could be anywhere from $7 to $9 or even $9.99, but keep it under 10. There's something psychological about $10. Just feels like it's another level of scrutiny in their mind. Like, do I really want to sign up for this thing? So you could do one of either way, where they get access for a limited time. So after they either sign up for free or they pay, you take them to a confirmation page. And on this page, you're going to say, thank you for signing up. Let them know more details will be sent to them, yada, yada, yada. And then let them know they signed up for a summit. And that if they want VIP, they can have lifetime access. So their access will stay on after the summit ends. So if it's a 3-day summit, you turn off the access for everybody who doesn't have VIP. If they do have VIP, their access stays on, or there's a few different ways you can do it. That's usually how I like to do it. And then usually you throw in some sort of bonuses. Say, okay, here's the bonuses. And then people are excited, and then they can either say yes, and they buy it. And then maybe they go to a page that's a thank you page for VIP, and you give them some details about the summit, maybe have a little video or something. And then another one where maybe there's a button that says yes, and a button that says no. And if they say no, they just go to a page where you say, awesome, thanks you for signing up for the summit. And they sign up. And you thank them. And you tell them basically they had 3 days of access, and they can always upgrade to VIP later. I like to make it so that this is lower price here, we would make this what I call a one-time offer. I didn't coin that phrase, someone else did, but basically they have a one-time offer where they can purchase it, and then they can purchase the VIP here, but they can come back later, but you have a different page. So if you send people emails about the summit, you can also send them to your VIP page, which is probably higher price and oftentimes has fewer bonuses. You don't have to do it that way, but basically if the price is less expensive here, you can say to people, this offer is only available on this page. And then maybe you have some bonuses that are only available on that page. I've done it multiple different ways, but I generally like to have something where the VIP is a lower price and then possibly some extra bonuses. They're going to get bonuses either way, but maybe extra bonuses on the one-time offer page. So that's the gist of it, of, you know, how you get people to sign up. Now, people might be like, these are just a bunch of scribble scratch, which I agree. My father was he had a master's of fine arts degree, and he had a painting in the Chicago Institute of Art. And as you can see, I can barely do stick figures. So art definitely skipped a generation in my family. So basically the gist of it is you have a landing page, kind of like this one, where people land on it. You have, you know, basically telling people like the date, you're branding the summit, have some sort of value proposition. You know, at the beginning, like here, this is for Amazon sellers. So grow your business with more traffic and convert more sales. So everybody wants more traffic on Amazon and they all want to convert more sales. So it's something that's going to grab them. You know, you're making a promise, and don't make a weak promise. Don't make over the top promise, you know, how to make 7 figures extra in the next, 48 hours. Make sure it's realistic, but it's something that's compelling, because that's the way to look at it. Then you want to have what I would call your subhead, or, some sort of explainer paragraph. So this is telling people you have industry leading PPC, traffic generation, and conversion rate optimization, and growth experts will teach you proven strategies and tactics to more effectively grow your sales on Amazon this year. So this was something we did earlier in the year. So basically let people know, grab your ticket. This, I didn't have this exact wording at the beginning, but that's something I had. Always have a countdown timer. Some people think countdown timers are cheesy. They are effective. So I usually, when I run a virtual summit, I have a countdown timer for the, whatever, whether it's free or in this case, it was $9.99. Either way, I have something with a countdown timer going to the beginning of the summit. And then right before that countdown timer expires, I move the countdown timer to, whenever I'm going to stop selling tickets. So it's basically, if you want to get before the summit starts, let people know when it's going to start, and then let people know when it ends. I will tell you, generally speaking, people sign up very much at the last minute. So not that you'll have no signups if you start promoting it a couple weeks out, but I do recommend about a week and a half to 2 weeks out, you start promoting your summit, but you will get a lot of people sign up at the last minute. So don't cut off sales once the summit starts. Cut off sales maybe 2-3 days after the summit starts, because that first day or two, you will oftentimes get a lot of people, and you'll get a lot of people sign up maybe right before the summit starts. So with that, you want to have some value propositions about your summit, what they're going to learn, basically, why should they want to attend? And then what I think is the beauty of a virtual summit is that you have a bunch of speakers that you bring on. So like, you want speakers that, either they themselves are well-known in the space, or maybe they're from a company that's well-known in the space. And so you're positioning this that it's a win-win for your attendees, because they get to learn from all these people. So like in this case, it's $10 to learn a bunch of strategies from people in the niche who are experts for just $10. It's like, why not? I'll sign up. Sure. So it's exciting for the attendees, but then for the speakers, they're seeing like, okay, I'm being lumped in with all these other people. So it makes them feel good and feel like they're part of something. And then, some people might be saying, but isn't that kind of like a podcast? It kind of is, but with a podcast, it's always available. So With a summit, you're putting a line in the sand and you're saying from February 4th, 2025, which is when this summit was, through February 6th, this is the summit. This is who's going to be speaking what days. Now we pre-record these ahead of time. So, it is kind of like a podcast, but I'm recording a bunch of episodes all at once, so to speak. These are sessions. I don't call them episodes. But it feels more like if you went to a conference, where you see all these speakers, because there's an urgency of time. Like, okay, this is happening over a certain date and time. So it gives people more urgency to sign up, as opposed to a podcast. If they've never heard of the podcast and, somebody was like, hey, go check out this podcast that I was interviewed on, you might get a couple people to, listen to the podcast, but they're probably not going to fill out any sort of form or sign up for something right away. You want people to promote your summit because they're promoting themselves, which I'll share with you a little bit of how I do that. And then you want some social proof. If you've done other summits, put it on there. If you've not done a summit, you don't have the social proof of you've had 7,000 people attend your summits or something like that, but you have some sort of social proof. Like, hey, this is the value we provide is X, Y, and Z. Don't try to make it seem like people are saying good things about your summit. Be clear about what it is, but also brag. And then if you have some sort of sponsors, put them on here. If you're first time doing a summit, it can be hard sometimes getting sponsors. So you might not be able to. And then you want to have some more value proposition. I like to tell people that basically they're doing all this from the comfort of home, that normally to see a lineup of speakers, kind of like what we have here, you'd have to travel, buy a conference ticket for hundreds of dollars, get into an airplane, stay in a hotel, eat expensive hotel food. But here for just $10, like make this as much of a no-brainer. It's all about positioning, which helps position, and people feel excited about this. Now, if it's a free summit, you don't have to worry about, like, hey, I'll give you your money back. Well, it's free. With a paid summit, I do like to put in like money back guarantee. I know this has been controversial. Some people in the summit world are like, I never give, because people might cheat the system. I have found if you give a good summit and there's good content and stuff people want to learn from people they want to learn from, you're not going to have a lot of refund requests. I have had, generally speaking, less than 1% to 2%. Let me say that. If I take out, I accidentally bought the ticket twice for a paid summit, which you've been amazed how many times that happens. They're so excited they bought a ticket again. People will sometimes get so excited that they buy twice. You have to, of course, do the right thing. And even if I catch it and they didn't ask for it, I'll give them their money back. Like, hey, I noticed you bought twice here. And if you do that, like you'll make a fan for life. I'll tell you that. People love people with integrity. So if you say, hey, I noticed you bought this, did you mean to buy twice? Like, is one for someone else? And if they're usually like, oh no, I didn't mean to, I'll give them their money back. Now, the controversial part is someone who's like, I didn't like it. It's going to happen every now and then. Do you want somebody who's going to be upset and has a bad taste in their mouth? Or you want to just give them their money back? Like, it's $10. Or even if they buy the VIP upgrade, which might be $47, $67, $97, $197, just let them have their money back. Like, chances are they probably didn't watch all that many sessions. And even if they did, watch for patterns. So I think back to, I worked at Walt Disney World, and we used to get really, like, I was a restaurant manager, and we would get really worked up, like, oh, somebody may scammed us out of a meal, like, $60 worth of food. And it's like, is it really that big of a deal? So I had somebody who was like my boss's boss, who was a mentor, said, at the end of the day, most people complaining, it's a legitimate complaint. And if we just focus on fixing those people's complaints and don't worry too much about the people who, maybe they get one over on us, then we're going to do better in the long run by focused on taking good care of honest people. you might get one or two people from time to time pull a fast one over on you. And is it really worth your time and aggravation to deal with? Like, they're going to complain until they get their money back. And then if they don't feel that they were treated fairly, they're going to be an evangelist against you and your company. Just give them the money and let them go. Some people I know are very hell-bent on like, no, they should never, because maybe they saw the content. Who cares? You know what? Stuff happens. If you're getting more than a 1% refund request, you need to take a look at what were the reasons people are asking, and fix that in the future, as opposed to worrying about it in the past. And I've had maybe one or two people out of 30 summits that I can identify. I'm pretty sure they were scamming me. Not scamming, that's probably the wrong word, but they were doing it for the wrong reasons. I had one guy who, depending on what offer it was almost like he put a calendar appointment. And he would come up and say, on the final day, I need to utilize the money back guarantee. And he would always say the money back guarantee. And it would be like something like, I don't speak English well. And so I couldn't understand it. Like, well, I've explained, like, I'm not going to, at the time, AI wasn't available. So I didn't know how to put German subtitles, which he wanted. So eventually I just blocked his credit card, but that was one person. It was after like 3 or 4 times of doing it. I was like, dude, but most people aren't going to take advantage of it. And if you see the same people taking advantage of it time and time again, maybe you confront it, maybe you don't, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Let people have, the ability to have a money back guarantee. And I will find too, you'll probably get more sales in the long run than you will have refund requests, because some people might be like, oh, well, they have a money back guarantee, because you're saying I stand behind my product. And you might even end up having less counterintuitive as it may seem. You might end up having less people request money back because they came into it feeling comfortable and less skeptical. So that's my personal opinion. Have some FAQs about your summit, and then get into a little bit about how people, I like to say, if you scroll all the way down here, you must be at least somewhat interested. I borrowed this from somebody else I learned from a long time ago, but I like to always put a button at the end. So that's the gist of it. And then they go to another page, they're offered VIP. But this is the general gist of it. Now, how do I get people to this page? So the crux of it is you need to get people to this page. So you want your speakers to promote it out. And so if I share on this page here, you can see this is an example of, I like to give my speakers, and this is how I organize it in Airtable. I have a designer go in and create all the graphics. And so, like, let's say, here we have somebody, her name is Liz Wilcox. She's awesome. Definitely follow her stuff if you're into email marketing. But like, here's one with her on it. Here's another one with her, including a sponsor of that particular summit. And then here's her with the other speakers. Now, we did not get everybody in the gymnasium, on stairs, and everybody's, standing at different levels, kind of like, a yearbook photo or class photo. But this kind of class photo where your speaker's in the front, I do this, and I tend to find this style of graphic is always the one that is the most promoted. And it doesn't matter who it is that is the speaker. The reason that style tends to work the best, I think, is because, it's whether the speakers are doing it intentionally or not, they're kind of bragging on social media, like, hey, look, I'm part of this group. And so if you get cool people that have a good message, the other people, they oftentimes want to, find collaborations with some of those other speakers, and they want to work with them in the future. And so they're excited. They're finding people that they can work with. You're excited because they're excited. And now they're promoting your summit. Now, in an ideal world, you want people that have not just a, following on social media and willing to share it on social media, but people also have an email list. I tend to find 90 to 95% of people that sign up for a virtual summit sign up not because they saw it on social media, but because they saw it on an email list of someone they know like, and trusted. So that's the basic gist of the funnel. Hopefully that made sense. Now, if you would like to talk to me about how you might employ this into your business, I tend to find summits work very well for anyone who is trying to demonstrate expertise, or if you're maybe sometimes pivoting. So, like, for example, I've run a couple of virtual summits on email list building because I was pivoting from more focus on Amazon e-commerce into helping people with list growth and things of that nature. And so that's how I got into the summit business, putting summits together. So if you would like my help, down below, there'll be a link where you can schedule a free strategy call with me, and we can walk through how you might potentially put together a virtual summit and even potentially put together a whole flywheel, which I call the Grow Marketing system. So with that, my name has been Kevin Sanderson, founder of LGN Marketing. We help you with lead generation and nurturing, and it's been a pleasure. Take care.